Hey everyone, and welcome to a demonstration video on my voice attack profiles for Battlezone 1. Adding voice attack to Battlezone 1 makes the game extremely fun. It adds a whole new dimension to the gameplay, because now instead of commanding my teams through numeric presses, I can actually order them through the microphone. It feels like you're actually directly commanding your squads, rather than telling them what to do through your keyboard. And in addition to the immersion factor that voice attack brings to Battlezone, it also has a great deal of practical application. As we all know, when playing Battlezone, you tend to press a lot of keyboard keys at one time, and most of those keys are really to command your squads around. But since there's also this first-person aspect of Battlezone, you tend to get shot at a lot too. So the whole voice command system bridges the gap between your attacking persona and your commander persona. So now, while you're in the heat of battle blasting tanks and dodging bullets, you can easily issue commands to your recycler or your factories to produce new scavengers or produce new battle tanks, and even order other squads to do tactical maneuvers to, either attack a strike target or come to your aid. So it really adds a whole new aspect to the way that you play Battlezone, and it's a tremendous amount of fun. I can't stress that enough, so definitely give it a shot. But we're here for the demonstration, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is, with all games, you usually have a recycler, and your recycler needs a geyser, so we're going to go ahead and send him to the geyser right there. Recycler, find geyser.
Where's the power? Getting power.
And there we go. So he's going to set up in a second. Outstanding. So now we've got ourselves a nice recycler, and he's all set up and ready to start building for us. And usually the next thing you'll do is start building scavengers. So let's go ahead and do that. Build scavenger.
Recycler here.
Simple and easy.
Started.
In a second we'll have our next scavenger, and we can start actually grabbing that scrap that's around on the moon, because, that's where scrap is, apparently. Okay, so now that we have our scavenger, let's go ahead and start building things. I've already got ourselves a constructor floating around here, so we can start using this guy immediately. We will first probably want to build ourselves some power, so let's go ahead and deal with that. Constructor, build power.
Ready to build. Yes, sir.
Here.
Building.
Outstanding. So, as you can see, he's now off building a power plant, and when that's all done, we could then issue orders to start building gun towers or whatever we wanted. Suppose we're out of pilots, we can issue him to build a barracks just by simply saying, Constructor, build barracks.
Ready to build.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
All of the commands that you see are actually voice enabled, so I can order him to build hangar, supply, comm tower, whatever. There is one caveat. A lot of the single-player missions mess with the ordering here. In multiplayer, or I should say most multiplayer and custom single-player missions, this works fine. But in single-player missions, the constructor build orders are sometimes out of order, so you sometimes will end up with things you don't expect, such as you want to build a silo and you end up with a comm tower. So just be aware of that. When you're in single-player, the campaigns and such, it may be best for you to just use the traditional way of commanding the constructor. For everything else, though, the voice commands seem to work just fine. So let's go ahead and do that next. Because immediately after we start getting our base together, we typically want to build ourselves a small army, which we know how to do through simple build commands. And now it'd be a good time to figure out how to command that said army. So there's a few ways to do this. Right now I've got a scout in front of me, and I can issue orders to him pretty much in the same way. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just to say, you, do something. So in this particular case, let's have this scout follow us. You, follow me.
Standing by.
And there we go.
Follow the leader.
Now, I happen to know that he is Scout 1. So, or rather, he is Offense 1. So I can also communicate to him by calling him Offense 1 and doing the exact same types of orders. For instance, Offense 1, move here.
Razor here. Gauging thrusters.
And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and build a second scout. Build scout.
Recycler here. Construction started.
The reason I'm building a second scout is because issuing orders to a single unit is pretty trivial. But once I have more than one unit, it can get a little cumbersome. So for instance, if I want both these guys to go to nav 1, I can say, Offense 1, go to nav 1.
Standing by.
Offense 2,
Yes,
go to
sir.
nav 1.
Standing by. Yes, sir.
And that works. But thanks to Battlezone 1.5, there's actually an easier way to deal with this, and that's through groups. And the voice attack command profile actually supports groups very nicely. So how I can do groups is through the traditional way of setting up a group in Battlezone. I simply select the units that I want by pressing their corresponding category, in this case offense, holding control down and selecting the 2 units that I want, in this case 1 and 2.
Standing by.
Now with the voice profile, at this point, while still holding control, I simply say create squad followed by the number. So in this case, let's add them to squad 1. Create squad 1. You hear that click? That tells us that it succeeded in creating the squad. So now I have a second nav point, and I can go ahead and send these guys over to it just by accessing them via their squad number. Squad 1, go to nav 2.
Yes, sir.
And there they go. And of course, the group system works with as many units as you put into that group. So if we had five scouts in the first group, all 5 of them would now be going to nav 2. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and send them back. Squad 1, go to nav 1.
Yes, sir.
And communicating with squads via their number is a pretty good way of doing things, but it still doesn't feel as natural as it could. So there's actually one more way that you can deal with squads, and this is actually what I would consider the preferred way. And that is to communicate to them based off their role on the battlefield. So there's different roles for the different squads that you can assign. For instance, there's assault squads, recon squads. There's defense squads, strike squads, and utility squads. And they all bind to different function keys. But the benefit of accessing a squad via their role is you don't have to remember which function key is bound to what, and it just makes things a lot easier. So in this particular case, I can rebind my scouts to, I would say the recon squad, because that sounds like a good place for a scout team to be. So let's go ahead and do that.
Standing by.
Select my first 2 scouts while holding the control key, and then I'll say, create recon squad. We heard the click, so now our recon squad is all set up, and now I can issue orders. Recon squad, follow me.
Ooh, follow the leader.
And here we go. I'm going to go ahead and build an APC at this point, and we'll be using him in just a bit. Build APC.
Unit factory here. Building underway.
So, alright, well, there's other things that we can do as well. We have our APC, but let's say we have too many of the scavengers here, and we want to get rid of one. So, I can recycle them. You, recycle.
Scavenger here. Recycling.
And there we go, we got rid of him. I can also tell my constructor to go nav points. I can have my teams roll escort. So, for instance, I can either say, recon squad, escort target.
Protecting.
There we goes. So now they'll follow the constructor around. But if sometimes it gets a little difficult to actually select the proper target, as you saw there, the context was jumping around. So if you can actually select it as your own target, such as that, then you can actually issue the command with escort my target, or corresponding commands are similar, such as attack my target. So in this case, I can say, without pointing at the constructor, recon squad, escort my target.
Protecting.
There we go. So once again, they're escorting the constructor, which is perfectly fine, and exactly what we want them to do. Now it looks like one of our recon units is beat up, so we can have him get a repair, and it's all done pretty quickly, and the armory will automatically do what the armory does in such cases. So all I have to say is, Offense 1, get repair.
Yes, sir. Repair
And there we go.
deployed.
Alright, so I've gone ahead and created a turret, so let's say we want to do base defense. That's pretty simple too. My defensive teams are turrets, and they're all set up in the, as one would expect, the defensive category. and they're accessible just like the offensive targets. So for instance, if I wanted to protect this power plant, and I wasn't ready to build a gun tower yet, I could say, Defense 1, move here.
Badger here. You're the boss.
And now that turret will go over and deploy, and protect that target, or that power plant. So that's pretty simple. Alright, I think it's about time to start blowing stuff up. So, first thing we want to do is, now that we have an APC, we're going to want to create a strike squad for them, because that's pretty much what they do. They strike things. So, once again, I'm going to go to the offense menu, hold Control and 3, and then say, create strike squad. I heard the click, so we're good to go. And, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and target him. And I'm going to have my recon squad follow him as escorts. Recon squad, escort my target.
Protecting.
There we go. Okay. So now my fighters are in place, so I can go ahead and start ordering this guy to his destination. And I have a third nav point, which I'm using as a staging point for attacking the enemy base. So let's go ahead and send him there. Strike squad, go to nav 3.
Yes, sir.
Alright, our APC is at the destination, and I've chosen a target. We'll go ahead, actually I don't want that barracks. We'll go ahead and attack that silo. Strike squad, attack my target.
Locked and loaded.
Additionally, I can also issue some other commands, such as attack nearest. Attack nearest will attack whatever happens to be the nearest target to you.
Fresh air.
It's very handy. Oh, scouts are in the way. There we go. Awesome. So our infantry have done our job, and our transport is now on its way back to base to resupply, and our escort team has protected the transport along the way. So that's pretty much awesome. And it looks like our scavengers are going to go collect that scrap that just dropped since we blew that structure up. But let's pretend for now that there's a golem over there, a golem walker, and it's destroying anything that comes in its path. For this reason, I highly recommend building a utility squad. So let's go ahead and do that.
Getting scrap.
Create utility squad. Alright, let's send them back to base. Utility squad, return to base.
I'm on it.
There we go. Now, we did that kind of slow, but normally that goes fairly quickly. And in this case, I think the golem would have probably taken them both out. But if you catch them fast enough, the voice commands can be really useful, especially if you notice what's going on and you're on your way to base too, because you got blown up by the darn, or nearly blown up by the darn golem. It can be really handy if you spot a couple of scavengers that are on their way to go collect scrap and are heading straight into harm's way. So, alright, that's pretty much it, I would say, for this. There's definitely a lot of little things that you can do. I'm actually going to probably be posting videos that are me in instant actions that other people have created, and I will be showcasing the voice attack system. And so far, I've been loving it. It's been a ton of fun to do. There's also some aliases for things that you guys might be interested in. For instance, the Recon Squad can also be called a Scout Squad. It accesses the exact same squad. And likewise, the Assault Squad can be called the Attack Squad. So it was mainly because I would accidentally get those interchanged, and so I figured other people might as well. There's probably some other hidden goodies among the voice attack profile. I'm also hoping to write a more detailed description of what commands are available. This is primarily a taste and shows the basics, I would say, of commanding your teams by voice. So definitely check out the description of the voice attack profile. And if you've never seen Battlezone before, this is Battlezone 1.5. Battlezone was a real-time strategy / first-person action game that was released many years ago and was, I should say, one of the best games ever created. That's totally biased, but I love this game. It's just so wonderful. So the cool thing is, it was a commercial release, and the developers loved it so much they didn't want to see it die, so they've released it for free, no strings attached. So if this looks cool to you, go pick it up. There's no reason not to. You don't have to, buy it or anything like that. Just download it and have fun. And while you're at it, pick up my voice attack profile and voice attack. If you don't have it, voice attack does cost, but I think it's rather cheap. And I'll have links for all these things, including the voice attack profile and Battlezone's download, in the description below. So go check those things out and have fun blowing things up.